Hey, welcome to Thought Thursday with Pastor Josh. A thought is the product of mental activity, that which one thinks. It is a single act or product of thinking, idea, or notion. We're going to talk about what that looks like today on this edition of Thought Thursday. Hey, thanks for joining me today on this podcast. This really, at least at this point, unless I feel led to do more of these, this is probably bringing us kind of to a close on some of our questions, of really some reflective questions. We'll see what the Lord does in the next few weeks. But today I want to ask you the question, what have I learned about where I'm going from the past? What have I learned about where I'm going from the past? Or you can even say it this way, what has the Lord taught me from where I've been? I think this is an important question. It's a little bit harder maybe to remember, but I think it's still important for us to ask this, especially right now with everything going on. It's important for us to ask and say, Lord, what have you taught us? What is it that I need to know from where we've been? It's important to stop because, we talked about yesterday, how do we get there? We've talked a lot about the future and where we're going, but this is a little bit more of a past question, just saying, okay, where are we going? As I look at the past, how do I know that we're going in this direction? What is it I need to learn from the past that I should take note of? That's important. I've heard it said that those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. I think there's a lot of truth in that. When we don't take note of where we've been, it's really easy to walk into something thinking it's new and forget what we were meant to learn. And I think we're in a season right now with everything going on. I feel like the Lord's teaching me quite a bit of stuff from this, and even as I continue to look back on things and things that were done, not done, just hindsight. They say hindsight's 20/20. I do feel like sometimes hindsight becomes more 20/20 the further away from the past we are. There's things that have happened in my life 10, 15 years ago that I feel like I see it more clearly now than I did 5 years ago. I thought I understood it better 5 years ago, than I did previous to that. And so I think we just get more clear of a picture on a lot of these things the further we get from it. But it's important for us to look at the past. I believe if we look at the past, then we can really begin to see some clues to our future. Some possible stumbling blocks we need to learn how to work through. A lot of these stumbling blocks are things that keep reappearing. It's pretty normal for that to happen. We saw that even with the people of Israel. We saw them struggle time and time again to trust the Lord in the wilderness. And then we see the Israelites struggling to do that again even when Joshua was trying to lead them to the promised land. If they were to look at their ancestors, if they were to look back and say, oh, well, they went through the same thing, and this is how the Lord responded to them, there can be so much strength that we can pull from when it comes to that kind of thing. We can look back at the past and recognize the goodness of our God, even in our own situations, even in our own lives. We can look and say, oh, man, look at how God did that. And I think we can even do that with this whole situation with the virus, the COVID-19, all the stuff that's happened. If we look back at it, I believe, and this is the kicker, from a spiritual perspective, we can't just look back at what we perceive to be truth. We have to look back at what God is doing, what He's saying through all of it. Because there's many times more to see than what we see. There's more than meets the eye when it comes to this kind of thing. It's not as it appears. And we have to just remember that the Lord is doing something beyond what we think. And we have to be able to be willing to ask that question and say, okay, Lord, what have you done in the past here? What have you been teaching us? What have you been wanting us to learn through all of this? And that's going to be different for each and every one of us. I can't just share everything that I think that the Lord's revealed to you. I can only reveal what He's really revealed to me. And so one of the things that He's revealed to me is that we need to learn how to live without control. Uh, you know, it's funny when you take something away from somebody who's a control freak, their response is to freak out, right? They get angry, they get almost aggressive, right? They they really um, don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to handle um, the the removal of power, and I've seen that all my life. I've seen a lot of control, and I've seen what happens, and I've been a part of that too. I've struggled with that from time to time too, where it's like, oh, okay, I can have control issues at times, and so one thing that's happened through all of this, and I don't know if you felt it, I'm sure you have at some point, is that we have zero control about over almost anything really, when it comes to planning and what the world's doing. And I mean, there's so much stuff where it's like, wow, we had this facade that we were in control. We felt like we were in control. Some people would even say we were in control, but I still don't think we were. And it's almost like the Lord just reveals to us and say, no, you were never in control. It was a reminder to all of us. This whole thing has been a reminder to me. It's like, we're not in control here. And that's okay. It's okay for us not to be in control. But it doesn't mean it doesn't feel hectic, and it doesn't feel, it can breed so much fear and anxiety because we're not in control of all of our needs, right? We're not in control of all of the substance that we want, the sustenance that we need. But we know the Lord who takes care of the sparrow, and He's the one that, Jesus told us not to worry about tomorrow. And now we're just going to practice a lot of that and say, okay, all right, well, Lord, we trust you for our daily bread, right? Give us this day our daily bread. There's a lot of things where Jesus is like, I've been saying this for a while, but now I'm showing you that you have zero control. And so you might as well trust me in the middle of all of that. Well, what's that do for us for the future? Well, it helps me to remember as I go forward that I don't have as much control as I think. And I need to constantly remind myself of that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. And we have to remind ourselves of that often because we know that the Lord is our comfort. He is our strength. He is our provider. And now we're just having to practice that at a different level. Or maybe for some of us, practice it for the first time. And so I encourage you, ask the question, what is it that you want me to learn from the past? What have you done in the past that I need to take note of? And I think that'll help us as we go forward, answering some of these other questions and allowing Him to do a work in us. So thanks for joining me today. Join me tomorrow for our interview on Fun Friday. I think you'll really enjoy it. So thanks for joining me this week.